Hello, CrazyCat690 here to talk a bit about the Rainbow Six Siege closed beta. It offered up to 5 versus 5 competitive multiplayer or 5 human players versus dozens of AI controlled enemies. Well, first off, we can start with the good stuff. Uh, First off, I did like the sound design quite a lot. I can't really complain about the gun sounds, and when you're in a house, it was really good sound when someone was shooting inside. You could hear about where it came from and so on. It was quite realistic. It was also quite tactical. It was you had to think more than a usual multiplayer game, which was quite refreshing. It could be downright thrilling when it worked properly, and it did at times. Then there was also very fun gadgets. I liked the camera. You could like throw a camera that you could control inside the house. You could move it around. Tag enemies. When fighting the AI enemies, they were like permanently tagged, I think, while human enemies were just you could see their positions for a while. There was also the breach charges, which were a really big part of the whole experience, since it's about breaking and entering a house filled with terrorists. And well, it's really fun blowing up walls, or anything for that matter.
14 is KIA.
I mean, that's why Battlefield is so popular these days. Well, a part of the reason. It's also an excellent game, of course. As far as classes go, they all had special gadgets. Like, there was this sledge class, which naturally had a sledgehammer, which he could break these windows and walls quite easily, and it came in handy. You could open up paths for your friends, but also your enemies, so you had to be smart. You had to be smart about it. I also got to play as I think it was called IQ class, which she has this scanner that scans for electronic equipment like bombs, which is it came in handy, but it was weird that it didn't seem to tag the bombs for your teammates. It's odd because the little camera tagged enemies also for your teammates. Like I could see enemies that my friends or teammates had tagged. So I don't see why the bombs could somehow show up for my teammates, who often ran into the room full of bombs and died. I don't usually play with a headset, since I'm rather shy, and either way it's hard to warn them in time anyway. Moving on, I thought it had a pretty appropriate health system. Like it makes it more tactical, I would say, to not have health regen. So every bullet that hits counts. anything to eat away at an enemy's health, it counts. If you wound an enemy, you know that enemy is going to be wounded for the rest of the match, and if you don't succeed in taking him down yourself, someone else will have a better chance. It was an interesting choice, and it also had friendly fire, which I
Eliminated Op 4.
thought was it's a good choice to keep it, as it keeps you from getting too reckless. You don't blast away, and
Not going in blind.
you have to watch your fire, more or less. If we move on to the parts which I didn't care for much, it is very sluggish. Like movement doesn't feel very flexible to play. It could work since the maps are very small, but I don't know, it felt really restrictive. The beta, it was of course just a beta, so connection issues are to be expected, but here's hoping that for the full game they've fixed it and made it more stable, because it's a multiplayer focused game, so you'd hope that they get it to work properly, since it's pretty much the only thing this game does. I mostly played Terrorist Hunt since I couldn't really join many competitive multiplayer games. It was really hard finding players for that for some reason. But I did play a whole bunch of Terrorist Hunt, which it was fun. It was rather addictive, actually. One thing that was really weird about it was the suicide bombers. I get that they're there to make a challenge, but it kind of worked against the game concept. Like, going in quick is not really an option when there might be a suicide bomber on the other side of the wall who kill you instantly.
Op 4.
It's really it's just doesn't make sense for this kind of game.
I'll keep an eye out.
I've already talked about the scanner. There's very few classes, and I'm not sure that the class system is really that great. There's not, like I said, not many of them, and only one person can play as each class during a match. So the first thing many unlocked was the sledge class. So everyone wanted to play it at first, which was a hassle, because if it's the only thing you've unlocked and someone else picks it before you, you're locked out of it. Not a very intuitive system, I'd say. It makes sense that not everyone should have run around with a sledge, but still, a better system, more free loadouts perhaps could have worked better. Overall, when talking about the content and value, it's not a very pretty game. Games don't really have to be pretty, and this has destruction in it. There's a lot you can do, but it's still a really small game, so it's hard to justify it being a full $60 game instead of like a $20 downloadable game, considering it is such a small game. It really feels like a really cheap downloadable game instead of a full retail game. And regarding the friendly fire, it can also be a bad thing, because I ran into a few matches where there was one guy who gunned down my whole team from the start. And I mean, it was already hard getting into a multiplayer game, so having that ruin one of those few matches was pretty disheartening. It wasn't very good advertisement for the game, I can tell you that. To finish up, could have been a fun downloadable multiplayer game. I could see myself paying $20 for this, but as it is, it's not really worth it. And that's my thoughts about it. If you want, you can let me know what you thought about it. If not, bye.